next year I could actually say we filmed Flash Gordon 40 years ago. So it's a longevity thing.
Are there any plans for the 40th anniversary? Or?
Well, yeah. Well, let me see. We had the 35th. Yeah, they are talking about something for next year. I think their focus is more on the 50th. You know. I think, you know. But going back, okay, the other part of that question, I mean, I explained about being proud of Flash Gordon. But
right, when Seth approached you, or you were approached by Seth's people. Yeah.
Well, first of all, and that's what's cool because, you know, I'm getting these calls now from these decision makers who were once 8-year-old young boys or young girls who grew up to be decision makers in Hollywood. And Seth's phone call to me was, "Hey, Sam, this is Seth MacFarlane." I said, "Who are you?" I'm going to get that out there. And he said, this is what he told me, and I hear this a lot now. "When I was 8 years old, I saw your movie. It changed my life." I said, "Well, how did it change your life?" He said, "Well, I knew I wanted to be a creative type guy when I walked out of the movie theater because of you." And I said, "Well, you're creative, but you're also a bit perverted. I hope I had nothing to do with that." So he said, "Well, not really." But so he presented this. He said, "I'm directing my first movie," and I said, "It sounds great," but you know, he colored it or painted it, the presentation, as this cute little teddy bear. You know, it was a mean little nasty bear when I read that script. You know, so when I read the script, I said, "Man, we got to talk about this." I mean, what you saw was a modified, revised movie.
Well, I would hope
especially
so.
with my dialogue. I mean, he had written some long 3-page monologues. Me giving my dissertation on every existing narcotic in the world, on the benefits and the positive attributes of every narcotic. I said, "Seth," I said, "look, I understand you want me to make fun of me as Sam Jones and as Flash Gordon, do a parody, do a spoof. It's pieces of me, it's not really me, but this particular monologue, you know, it's not, I can't do it. Because, number one, I don't agree with it. Primarily because I did a lot of that stuff, and it's not right. You know, it leads to devastation, destruction, and failure." And so we talked about it, and it worked out. It worked out. I mean, so what you saw was a much better version, I think.
I thought it was just enough. It was great.
What's that?
I said it was just enough. It was great. It was one of those things
Yeah.
that, like, it came out of left field in that movie, and it would just, bam, hit me like, "Oh, that's so funny."
Yeah.
But great.
I enjoyed it. And it's funny when you're asked to do something where you're going to make fun of yourself, you know. And I enjoy it. I did another film last year, another comedy, which is even more so. It's called Enter the Fist and the Golden Fleece, and it's a spoof on all the 1980 kung fu movies. And again, I play myself, but it's way over the top this time. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming here today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for your question. Very nice. Any other questions? Yeah, come on up.
I know you said earlier that when you go in for an audition, you didn't really look at everybody else and go, you know, if they don't want me, they don't want me. That's no big deal. Was there any roles that you really went into reading for that you thought, this is me, I've got this one, and then you didn't get it and were kind of disappointed?
Yeah, well, I don't think I was disappointed. But again, that's a great point. Going back to that little waiting room with all the actors, there have been points where well, let me just say what happened. My buddy Kevin Sorbo, you guys know Kevin, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm up, so I get this, I read the script. They want me to come in and audition for the part of Hercules in the TV series. And I thought, I can do this, man. This is me. I could do it. So again, I don't pay much attention to the guys in the waiting area that are getting ready to go in and read. And all of a sudden, I didn't know Kevin, but I saw this actor walking towards me with the long hair, and thinking as a creative guy, as a real person, not as some, I looked at that guy walking to me, I said, "Oh my God, that's your Hercules right there. That's the guy who should be, if I'm casting, he's the guy." And I think that's the only time I've ever done that. And sure enough, Kevin and I became buddies, especially the past couple years. But yeah, and that's one of the few times where, and I didn't get mad because I thought that's the guy you want, man. I mean, come on. He was absolutely perfect for it, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Hi, how you doing? What's your name?
I'm good. I'm Mitchell. I was wanting to know if you had any influence on the soundtrack from Flash Gordon. Are you a Queen fan?
Nowadays I do, but you don't back then. You probably, half my voice was looped on Flash Gordon. I mean, on any movie you do, you have to go back, not so much during, but you go back at a later time when they're doing post-production, and you got to make a lot of corrections and because of whatever mistakes or just whatever. You got an airplane going over, the sound man. So I was under contract to do another movie, and I didn't go back, so they got another actor. And, of course, Dino De Laurentiis and I were bumping heads a little bit back then, too. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't like it. I would, it's not as though I have a James Earl Jones type voice anyway, but, when you go to watch your movie, you want to hear all of your voice. And in Flash Gordon, I think it was maybe 50%, maybe a little bit more of mine. I mean, yeah, half and half, yeah.
I mean, the Queen album Flash, did you have anything on that? Like, was that any of your influence, or?
You mean as far as the music soundtrack?
Yes, sir.
No, matter of fact, no, that was all the creative team. Matter of fact, Dino didn't want them. First time he heard the songs, he hated it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
But Dino is a showman. So at the opening, when the crowd went crazy over the Queen at the premiere, then he got it. He figured it out. You know? But evidently, Queen is. This was maybe the first rock opera, for a movie soundtrack. Because I did this other movie recently called, 3 years in the making, a documentary on my life called Life After Flash. And in this movie, you'll see in February, they interviewed Brian May. And he talks all about this. He talks all about that, and it's fascinating. It really is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to address something else that you talked about being disappointed or something. Here's what I was disappointed in. In the film business, like a lot of us, no matter what we do, we have representation, or we have a headhunter, or we have an agent that represents us. So I was telling you before, I hit it off really well with John Derek. We became good buddies, and he said, "Hey, I'm doing a movie called Tarzan, and you're the guy. You're the guy." So he presented this to me in 1978. I said, "Let's do it." And so I had a manager at the time, and believe me, I'm not the kind of guy that as an adult man then, and now, as an older adult man, I'm not the kind of guy that points fingers and say, "Oh, it was his fault, man. It was all their fault." But I didn't realize in those early years that they worked for me. I do not work for them. And that's something we all have to get a hold of. No matter what we do, who's ever representing us, they work for us. So anyway, long story short, I gave my script to my manager, the Tarzan script from John Derek. And behind my back, I had this strong relationship with John. He calls John Derek out of the blue and says, and this is it's late 78, maybe early 79. He says, Sam will do the movie. No, I'm sorry, this is a year later because it's after Flash Gordon. Sam will do the movie if you give me $1 million up front. This is late 79, early 1980 by now.
Wow.
And I didn't find this out till a couple years later. I also found out that he did the same thing for a movie called The Officer and the Gentleman. Now, I'm not going to, Richard Gere was perfect for that. But these two projects were in my hand, offered to me, to my face, and I thought it was a done deal. And I just thought, I didn't bother to call John back to say, "Hey, everything okay?" Because I thought my management team was looking out for my best interests, which they were not. They were just greedy. Blew it. Freaking blew it. Because the significance about Tarzan is the original Flash Gordon, Buster Crabbe. As you know, he played Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, Tarzan, Captain Gallant, and he was also an Olympic swimmer, medalist. So I was kind of on a roll here to be, okay, Flash Gordon, Tarzan, Gil Gerard, of course, was Buck Rogers. And also, I did end up playing the Spirit, too, for Will Eisner. Not the movie, but we filmed it as a television pilot. So that's what pissed me off a couple times in my career. I didn't take charge. I just kind of, that naivete, didn't have some real. See, there's smart people, and then there's godly wisdom. We have a lot of smart people running things in our country. But what's lacking in these very smart, intelligent, high IQ people is a godly wisdom. I didn't have that back then. I'm not an academic. I'm not an academic guy. I don't have that high intelligence. But what I am gifted with now, from my failures and my successes, I'm gifted with, I believe, a godly wisdom. That doesn't make me any better than anybody else. All it means is I've been kicked and had so many failures so many times that I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I need to apply godly wisdom in everything I do. So I do that now. I think I drive certain people crazy, but being the Marine too, I dot the I's, I cross the T's, So, yeah. That's the only thing, if I had to do over again, I would have just picked up the phone and say, hey, John, what's going on? And he would have said, Sam, your freaking manager called me up and said, I can't talk to you anymore unless you wire me $1 million. How freaking nutty is that? I mean, it's more than nutty. It's, what's a horrible word? It's deplorable. No,
Ludicrous.
It's horrible. It's just, it's the worst thing you can do to somebody. It's greed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's not who you are. You're a wonderful man. Everyone, please, big round of applause for Sam.